Greetings, Legionnaires, and we've finally come to my favourite part of the expansion cycle, where I dump every last shred of event gold I've earned into the expansion crate and draw a whole bunch of duplicate legendaries. Here's hoping to get lucky this time though. But first of all, also with the end of the expansion, we get the new expansion neutrals, which can, depending on how strong they are, there will be a bunch of chaff in there, well, of course, for the event decks or starter decks or whatever. It would be nice, but they can't all be due back. Everyone will have access to them though, so if there are any particularly impactful cards, one way or another, sometimes very strong troops, sometimes very strong tactics, they will start to shape the entire meta around them, and we'll see them influence the way the legions play. So I have 3 cards to show off today. Will they be some of those meta-defining cards? That's up for the brewers out there to decide. But one of them in particular is definitely not. Let's have a look at that one first. First of all, let me show you one of my favourite cards as a Salamander player. Storm Eagle. For 2 energy, you do 2 damage and stun a target. Any target, warlord or troop. Not overpowered, not overcosted, not undercosted. It's always playable. It's never a dead card in your hand, and you'll usually get some kind of good benefit out of it. Our reveal today reminded me of Storm Eagle, but not in a good way. And sadly, we're not even talking about Storm Eagle Strike today. Even that joke is now outdated. We've got another card. In fact, this card even pales compared to Storm Eagle Strike. I know neutrals are meant to be not as good as the Legion cards, but this card even pales in comparison to other neutral cards from the first set. And it does have a bit of tech function in like bring it in certain matchups, but even then, cards from the base set are better in that role. This really could be a choose your own punchline at this point. Well, reverse a punchline. Setup. Choose your own setup. But the punchline is always the same. So here we have Avenger Fighter, a tactic for the Imperial Army. For 2 energy, deal 2 damage to a troop, and if it is a vehicle, stun it. I mean, I try to see the utility of every card, try and see its potential uses in the most neat situations, but I can never see myself putting this in a ladder deck. I mean, vehicles are possibly the troop type you'll encounter least in the entire game, and even then, this is not exactly going to do a lot of impact to them. Stun is nice, but you're only hitting vehicles, and that means often it's usually just a card to deal 2 damage for 2 energy, which is not worth a card slot in most decks, to be honest. And look, if you're up against someone who doesn't use troops, it's worse than that. It's a dead card. It's absolutely no value at all. You'll never get out of your hand at all. So yeah, like the absolute only time I could ever imagine using it is if I was playing in a tournament and someone had a very vehicle-focused list in some way or another. I don't even really know of any that exist at the moment. But let's say one emerges and it's very important to have to stop it. Maybe I use this. Maybe. But as I said, I didn't even know a deck like that even exists. So, yeah, at the moment, not a card I'm going to use. But that means it can only get better from here. Hopefully. Let's see. Here we have a 4 energy tactic, Uncharted Territory. This card lets you choose one of the neutral factions, Chaos, Imperials, or Mechanicus, and then you create 3 random cards from that faction in your hand. Also not pumped about this one, really. It's better because at least this is draw 3 cards or generate 3 cards, which can give you some very good card advantage and options at the end of the game. Maybe you're running out of cards and this refills your hand a little bit. But it's too random, it's too unfocused. The neutral pools are quite big. even when it's separated into 3 different factions. And because it doesn't specify what type of cards you're making, tactic or troop, and if it was tactic only or troop only, I could say, well, I want to generate some chaos demons, or I want to generate some big stompy mechanical monsters, or imperial card drawing tactics or something. But it's so random. I mean, you could very easily just end up with these 3 cards, which is a bit of a waste. Like, even when you're generating cards, card advantage isn't any good when the cards are completely useless to you. Most of these generate 3 random cards or draw cards, as we know from Dewback and other do random thing cards. They tend to skew towards the powerful cards. Tend to. It's no guarantee, of course, but maybe they've coded something like that into this card to make it more useful, more playable. Maybe you put this down and get 3 legendaries or something, and it's not uncommon to see that. In that case, maybe this is worth it. Either way, I think someone who's playing this card is looking to have just card advantage for a long game. They want to just generate a bunch of cards. They don't really care what the cards are. They just want things to play. They need to keep playing things to keep grinding it out. Maybe a Mortarion, someone playing for a long game. As I said, yet another niche card. Let's see if it finds a place. And at last, on to my very last card reveal. This is the Termite Drill. The devs seem to have decided that I'm in charge of revealing the legendary Mechanicum vehicle every single set, and there have been a lot of them. Every single set seems to have included at least one legendary giant Mechanicum vehicle, and this is the one for this set. 7 energy for a 5/8 vehicle, and of course, special abilities. For 3 energy, draw an infantry or Astartes from your deck and give it flank. Can't act again. This is easily the best card I've got in the 3 I've got here. Well, I'm not saying a lot, of course, but hey, it's got a lot of meme potential at the very least. I'm sure someone can come up with something for this. I mean, flank is very good. Having flank on a troop which isn't supposed to have flank can be very strong. That said, I think this will need a bit of a special deck to meet its full potential. You know, obviously, in a low power format, this will work fine. You know, you can put it down, you can hopefully rely on it not to be destroyed, and then after a turn, you can start pulling some troops out of your deck and then start launching them at the enemy. But I think this really will reach its potential in a deck which specifically is built around it. You include 2 copies of supply lines. Then you're able to put this card down. Well, you've got 3 copies of this card, and you're pretty reliably able to play it on turn 4. At which point, it's going to be hard to remove immediately, and then if you've got a limited selection of infantry and Astartes in your deck, you can reliably draw the exact ones you want with flank. And maybe that's a strategy which wins some games. Not sure, I haven't put enough thought into this yet, but in the same way that cards like Warp Retreat were able to become, well, what people kind of can just considered a not very useful card, into something which was part of a combo which won games, maybe this is it. Maybe something where you're putting down troops and giving them flank by limiting the number of troops in your deck and limiting the number of vehicles in your deck to make sure those troops and this vehicle are the ones you're pulling. Maybe there's a combo there. I'm looking forward to see what people come up with. But yeah, apart from that, I think it's a okay card. You know, I'm not going to gush too much about it because it does have to survive a turn, and in a high level play, this is probably just eating removal the same turn it comes down. But on the chance it survives, you know, flank's no joke. That ability's a bit expensive, but drawing cards, getting flank, maybe this works for someone. Oh, that's my reveals concluded for today. Thank you to the devs for providing them for me. Thank you all for coming. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go and wait beside the in-game shop for the next 24 hours. Catch you all in the game.
Here you go, good sir. Take 'em all. See you next set, bitch.